So good morning students. Today we'll study a new topic in life processes, that is your circulatory system. We'll study what are all the blood vessels, what the main pumping organ of your circulatory system, that is your heart will do, what are all the chambers that a human heart has, what is the function of blood, what all the important function that the only circulating, the only fluid tissue in your body the blood does. Okay, so let's start with the chapter today, that is the circulatory system. That is your circulatory system. So can you tell me what is the fluid that runs through your circulatory system? Exactly right, blood is the fluid that runs through your circulatory system. Do you know what is the pH of the blood? The pH of the blood is 7.4, which is slightly alkaline in nature. Do you know what is the meaning of alkaline? Alkaline is a word that we get from alkalinity or alkalis. Alkalis, that are the water soluble bases that you study in chemistry. So alkaline is basic. So our blood is slightly basic. It is slightly basic. That is 7. Its pH is 7.4. Okay. So what are all the functions that your blood carries? We have learned in tissues about the connective tissues. All the connective tissues that we have studied are solid, but there is only one fluid connective tissue, one liquid connective tissue, that is your blood. So what does blood do? Blood has a very important function in your body. Do plants have any circulating fluid? No. They have tissues that are xylem and phloem, which do the work. Do we study circulatory system in plant? No, we study transport system, because there is no such circulating fluid, no such circulatory organ present in plants. We have tissues that carry food, water and minerals in plant. So we study transport system in plant. So coming back to blood, what are all the functions that blood carries? The first function that we know is blood carries your respiratory oxygen and carbon dioxide. So what is the function of the oxygen? We aerobically respire. The oxygen is needed by every cell to make energy. So who does provide that? Blood takes the oxygen from the lungs, gives it to your cell, where the glucose is already present to produce the ATP, energy, right? So the second function, so we'll write the first function. The first function is to transport gases. To transport gases. The second function, it gets all the excretory products, the metabolites that are formed in different processes of your body, right? So all the waste products, right? Whenever a protein is break down, an amino, a protein, a lipid, anything is break down, any metabolism happens. Metabolism, right? So anything is formed or anything is break down. Catabolism plus anabolism is metabolism, and waste product is formed. All the waste is collected by the blood and brought to the kidney by filtration, where nephrons will filter the blood, right? So all the excretory products, right? All the excretory products are collected to the kidney by blood, right? What is the third function? Have you heard of hormones, the endocrine system that we are going to study after this? The hormones are carried out. The hormones are blood in blood, because the endocrine glands do not have ducts, so the hormones are directly poured in our blood. All the hormone, growth hormone, adrenaline, every hormone that you will study in our body is poured in blood, and then the hormones will be carried to its target organ, right? So the target organ, right? So where it will carry its body functions, right? So it is done by blood, right? So these are all the functions of your blood, right? So coming to the blood vessels, now we will study about the blood vessels. What are all the blood vessels present in your heart? So I'll clear it, right? So the blood vessels. Let us learn about the blood vessels. Okay? So for this, you need to just know a main thing, that human circulation is pulmonary. So we don't just have heart that does all the functions. Remember, heart is just a pumping organ. Heart just pumps the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood that is collected by these blood vessels, right? And who does the part of oxygenation? Exactly correct. That is done by your lungs. So heart plus lungs, right? So the heart is just a pumping organ. It is just pumping the blood that is collected in it. So, and who is doing the oxygenation part? Right, lungs. So now I tell you what is. You might have a doubt. Okay, what is oxygenation, right? So I will tell you what is oxygenation. See, you inhale. So suppose this as your nose. You will inhale oxygen, right? You will inhale oxygen, and which goes to the lungs, from that to the heart, from that to the heart, and it's pumped to all different parts of the body. So the heart collects the deoxygenated blood, all the bad blood which contains this CO2. It collects, and for purification, for oxygenation, it gives to your lungs, right? So these deoxygenated blood, when it passes through lungs, exactly it becomes oxygenated. It becomes pure, right? So the oxygenation is done by lungs, but the pumping is done by heart. Okay. Now coming back to our point, that was our blood vessels. Okay. We have three blood vessels in our body. Three blood vessels that are arteries, veins, and capillaries. Right? These are the blood vessels that carry different types of blood to your heart. To be precise, arteries carry oxygenated blood from all parts of the body. Right? And veins carry deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body. Right? And to be precise, I tell you that arteries are deeply seated in your organs. They are deeply pressed. They are pressed such that, so they are deeply seated in the organs. They are deeply seated. Whereas the veins are superficial. They are upside, above of the arteries, above of the organs. They are superficial in nature, right? Superficial, and the blood pressure is very high in arteries as compared to veins. So to handle that blood pressure, arteries have thick walls. Arteries have thick walls as compared to veins. They have thin walls, right? And arteries never have walls. What are walls? We are studying the main walls that will be in your heart. There are tricuspid, bicuspid, semilunar wall. We'll study that afterwards. And our walls prevent the backflow of blood, right? What gravity does is it pulls, right? It comes from upside to down, right? So according to the nature of gravity, the blood will also return back. So to prevent that, arteries do not have walls. But veins have walls, right? Veins have walls. Now there is an exception for this oxygenation and deoxygenation. All arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. Except pulmonary artery. And all veins carry deoxygenated blood, right? Except pulmonary vein. So why does this happen? We'll study in the next topic, that is pulmonary circulation. We'll just learn this after completing this explanation. Okay. So coming back to capillaries. Capillaries are the thinnest of blood vessels, very fine blood vessels. Those are called capillaries, and the main exchange that takes place between the intracellular fluid between different organs takes place in capillaries. These are the finest of blood vessels, very minute to very small, finest of blood vessels. Okay, वो बहुत ही fine होंगे. These are the finest of blood vessels that we find in capillary. Having heard of capillary action, right? So whenever you will put any thread or straw in a glass of water, what happens is the water raises due to the negligible diameter of this small capillary, that is called capillary action, which we study in physics. Now coming back to our this topic, arteries, veins and capillary, right? Arteries carry oxygenated blood, veins carry deoxygenated blood. Oxygenated is the blood which is pure, which is red, which carries oxygenated, and deoxygenated is the blood that carries CO2, which we can call impure, which is represented by blue color due to the presence of CO2, right? So we'll study our next topic, that is the pulmonary circulation. What are all the names of this particular blood vessels? These are not just arteries and veins. These are pulmonary artery. These are superior vena cava. These are inferior vena cava. These are pulmonary artery. These are pulmonary vein. Right. So what are all the blood vessels that carry blood from different parts of the body, from your kidney, from your heart, from your brain, from your lungs? That will study today. Okay. So shall I erase it? So now coming back to the chambers of the heart and the pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary, that is a word which is exactly used for lungs. Now coming back to human heart is 4 chambers. You know that? And always remember, this is the right atrium, this is left atrium, this is right ventricle, this is left ventricle. Right? The above chambers are called atrium or atria. Atria, these two chambers are the receiving chambers. Atria are the receiving chambers that we have. These are the receiving chambers. And the ventricles, which are below, are just pumping chambers. They can just pump the blood. These are pumping chambers. Right. So remember a thing. What will need more energy? Just collecting the blood, just receiving the blood, or pumping the blood right from your head to toes? Exactly right. Pumping the blood requires more energy. That is the reason the walls of your ventricles are very thick. We'll study this in the precise diagram that we are going to study after this topic, and show you the exact diagram what happens in the heart. But to study the pulmonary circulation, I am not willing to make it more complex. Just we'll study the pulmonary circulation in this first, and then we'll study the structure of heart, what exactly it is, right? Okay, so don't be confused. So remember why the walls of these ventricles are thick, because they need to generate energy to pump the blood out of the heart to the organs. Very good. So coming back to what now? How the deoxygenated blood, how the impure blood comes to your heart. Superior vena cava. This is a blood vessel. Superior vena cava. Right. So superior vena cava carries deoxygenated from blood from the parts which are above the heart, right? Like your brain, it carries the impure blood, because all the impure blood needs to be collected first, then it will go to the lungs, then it will be pure, and then it will go to all parts of the body for energy production. Don't forget that what is the final use of this oxygen. The final use of this oxygen is to produce energy. Don't just think that the oxygen, we get the oxygen, it is going in the blood. No. The use of this oxygen in your cell is to produce energy. We are aerobically respiring animals. So we need oxygen for that, right? So the blood flow from right atrium by superior vena cava. Superior vena cava is a vein that carries deoxygenated blood above the heart. Inferior vena cava carries blood. Inferior vena cava carries blood from the organs which are present below the heart, right? Legs, kidneys, liver, everything. So once the deoxygenation, this is deoxygenation, this is blue in color, okay? So let me select some color to show you how it is saturated, right? So remember the thing, okay? So this all is blue in color. The blood is deoxygenated here, right? Because it is impure. We are first process is collect it, then oxygenate. Okay. So first we collect the impure blood here, which is brought by the superior and inferior vena cava. Then it is given down to right ventricle, right, and then from here it is carried down to your lungs. And who does this process of carrying the deoxygenated blood to the lungs? Right, exactly, your guess is right. Pulmonary artery. It is pulmonary artery. Right. So I have told you an exception. All the arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. So here is the exception that I have told you and explained. So all the other arteries carry oxygenated blood. But here the blood is blue. Here the blood is deoxygenated. Now in lungs, this deoxygenated blood will get oxygenated. Exactly right. Here it was blue, and the other part of the heart, now coming from the heart, it will be red, which will be poured in the left atrium, and this work will be done by pulmonary vein. Done by pulmonary vein. Okay. So it was deoxygenated here. It was impure in the right part of your heart. Always remember, the right part of your heart will carry deoxygenated blood. The left part of your heart will carry oxygenated blood. That is red in color. So don't be confused, right? So now from the lungs, the pulmonary vein, all the veins, other veins will carry deoxygenated blood. But this is the oxygen containing blood which is carried by the pulmonary vein and poured into left atrium. Now you will have a question: why it is not poured into left ventricle, sir? Because ventricles are not the receiving chamber. The receiving chambers are auricles. So it will be poured in the left auricle. From that it will become to the left ventricle, and that from here you will have the aorta, the most hard blood vessel, which will then carry blood to all the organs, tissues that it is needed, right? So all the tissues, and then what happens? The tissue will use this red deoxygenated blood and then make it deoxygenated. Again the deoxygenated blood comes in the heart by vena cava. Again it goes to the lungs. Again it becomes oxygenated. Sorry, first it comes deoxygenated, then it becomes oxygenated. Again the tissue will use that oxygen, will create the CO2 by breakdown of glucose, and then again the deoxygenated blood will be carried by the veins. This is your pulmonary circulation, right? So heart was also included and the lungs were always included. So remember, I will tell you three things, right? The blood vessels: pulmonary, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, and aorta. These are all the blood vessels. We have all these blood vessels. We have 4 chambers, and we also have walls in the heart. The right part of your wall, here we will have a tricuspid wall. It will have 3 cusps. In the left part of the heart, we will have a bicuspid wall, and here somewhere in the aorta you will have a semilunar wall. Semilunar walls. Okay. So in the next lecture, we will exactly see what the diagram of heart is, what the pictorial diagram of heart is, what all is happening in the heart. Okay. So was it cool for today? Has everyone understood what I told? Okay. Fine. Thank you.